everyone, it's time for another Mixed Media Monday with Danielle today. I'm going to show you some playing around with gel plate monoprinting, and I'm going to use Vicky Boots and stencils and stamps today. I'm inking up my gel plate with Distress Oxides, Mermaid Lagoon, and Cracked Pistachio. And then you will just need to blend it all out, spread the color with a brayer. This is kind of a big deal to get your prints nicely out there. Then I'm using one of the stencils from the Kaleidoscope collection. It's an older collection, but we still have the stencils at paperissues.com. So they were really good for gel printing. So go grab them at the store. I'm using just some scrap pieces of cardstock to play around today to see what kind of prints I get. So I love the blues and greens that you can see through here. And this is a stamp set from Vicky Booten from her previous collection. We still have this one at paperissues.com as well. And there's some gorgeous flowers on there in 3 sizes. And they are great to use on your gel plates. So I'm using the biggest flower and the smallest flower today, and the leaf, which is more of a solid stamp. And solid stamps are actually the most practical with gel printing, but these flowers are doing really well too. So I'm using ground espresso Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to stamp on the ink that I already have. So I did not clean my gel plate. The print I made before with the stencil left another image on my gel plate. It's really hard to see that on camera. Even in real life it's hard to see, but it really is there, and you will see that in a bit. So with ground espresso, and probably black soot will be good for this too, I'm going to stamp the leaves and the flowers on my gel plate. And you're probably gonna say, why don't you just stamp on a gel print? It looks different. Your stamps actually are gonna get a gel print look, if that makes sense. So if you would stamp directly on the gel print that you already made, it's gonna be crisper. And now I think it's more part of the background that you're making. But you can play around, try both ways, and see if you can tell the difference. I definitely can. So I'm using a clean piece of cardstock. It's important that you give a good even pressure so you get the whole print evenly. There we go. So you see still in the background that ink that we have left there from our first print that we took, and then the flowers and the leaves. And there's still enough left on there, and I'm going to show you now. It will just give you a lighter image. You see that, how much there's still left? It's amazing, huh? So to do the next one, I'm gonna clean my plate. You can easily do that with a baby wipe, especially with oxides. Baby wipes are just enough. Now I'm using Abandoned Coral. I have Picked Raspberry there and Worn Lipstick. So I'm using Abandoned Coral and Worn Lipstick. You have to spread the ink. So now I'm using the same stamps again, and I'm going to go in there without any ink on it to create a resist. So with the stamp, I'm removing ink from the gel plate. And as you can see, you can make gorgeous stamp prints with that again if you want to. I just want to get rid of the ink and I will just put it on that piece of cardstock. But all I'm doing here is lifting ink from my gel plate so that when I'm going to make a print, you're going to see the leaves in the print. And it's hard to see on camera what it's doing right now, but when I'm doing the print, you can see it very clearly. So make sure you give it enough pressure again. If you're not sure about this, you can use a clean brayer and go over it just to make sure you have an even pressure all over. There you go. There you have your pink reddish background with the lifted ink from the leaf stamp. Now I'm going to do the same thing because on the left side I still have that ink left. So I'm going to lift some ink with one of the flower stamps. For the best effect, every time you picked up some ink with a stamp, it's best you stamp it on a scrap piece of paper. Now I'm going to do this print, and it's not only going to pick up the ink from the part I just did, but it's also going to do a part that is going to be a second print from the previous one. So on the right, you see the lighter version where we lifted the ink with the leaf stamp. Now I still did not clean my plate. I'm going back in with worn lipstick and abandoned coral. And you'll see later on why I did not clean my plate. Because still some stuff is left from what I did previously. Now this is another stencil from the Kaleidoscope stencils. I will link them all here in the comments. Now this stencil I used previously with blue ink. I did that off camera. But the ink is still on the stencil. So what you're going to see now once I lift this one is the red from the gel plate, and in between you're seeing the blue ink that was still on the stencil. So that is another way to do gel printing. It's more like working with your leftovers. Now I'm going to do some ink lifting on this one with the leaf. Sorry, with the flower. The flower one was not working so good because we had so many open spaces with the stencil. So I moved on here to the leaf stamp. And when I'm going to lift this one, you will see the ink lifting from the ink I'm lifting right now. But you can still see also some from the previous leaf. It's hard to see on camera, but you got to give it a try. But because I did not clean my mat or my plate, you will see some of the previous gel print I did too. So try to not clean your plate and see what the effects are from stuff that you did before. It can be really cool what comes out. So there in the open spaces, you can see some of the previously lifted ink. So I hope you will have some fun with Vicki Boutin stamps and stencils, and I'll see you next time.